Hello, and welcome to another episode of Social Workers Rise. I am here with Dr. Marya Wright. She is an LCSW straight out of California. We're like almost neighbors. But she is a published author, educator, and facilitator with extensive experience in so many different areas. Listen up: child welfare, curriculum development. She also is the CEO of her own organization, Wright Community Services LLC. She is a professor and she is running as President Elect, right, of NASW California. Yeah?
That's correct.
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast again. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you for having me, Catherine. I appreciate you. And it's always a pleasure to connect with you. And the work that you're doing is making a difference. So I'm happy that you're giving me this opportunity to chat once again.
Well, thank you. And we did an episode 123 on
120.
120. Thank you. And I'll link it there in the episode show notes. But I don't think you were a doctor when we did that episode, was it?
I was not. No, that was back in 2023. So I was in my doctoral program, in the thick of it, but I had not completed. I wasn't even an LCSW.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
I was an MSW and a BSW. And at that time and I still keep my BSW on, but people are always like, why do you include the BSW? You don't need to. And I'm like, no, that was a really rigorous program. And I really learned how to be a social worker, getting my bachelor's in social work. And so, no, last time we chatted, I had a bachelor's in social work and a master's in social work. And that was a lot. And that took me far, but that's where I was at.
All the letters count, all of them. And welcome, doctor. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's definitely exciting to have that experience and that under my belt. It's still a hefty price tag, but we'll figure that out later.
Yes, for sure. And we're gonna talk a lot about you and the NASW and like why you're running and the issues that social workers are facing right now. But I want to start from the very beginning. Just tell us, what's the real reason that you got into social work?
Yes. And, people ask me that question all the time. They're like, why did you choose social work? And it's so funny to me because it's like the number one question. I don't know if people ask this question to other professionals, but I know that we get it a lot. And for me, I really wanted to understand power dynamics, systems that, people utilize or that are over people's lives in our communities, and survival. Right? I wanted to understand how people navigate those experiences of power, systems, and survival. And I knew that growing up, watching my family, watching the families in the community that I was a part of, how they were moving through and trying to navigate these systems that were essentially supposed to be there to support them. But what we realize is that sometimes they caused more harm to the healing, right? They caused harm because of race, class, geographics, trauma that they've experienced, or maybe even how they were able to access these services. And because of those things, that created outcomes for clients before they even were able to make a choice for themselves. So social work has given me the language, the vocabulary, the deeper understanding of what I've witnessed, what I've experienced, and what I know to be true for the communities that I've been a part of. And it helped me understand how oppression or resilience, how policy decisions impact our communities, how family systems operate, and how that impacts development, impacts family outcomes, impacts the health of the family. Whereas also trauma and healing impact a child's development, a family's health, the outcomes for the family. And I got to do all of that in one profession, and that profession is social work. And so, that's really what it has been for me, and I've enjoyed it.
I love that. I love that. I'm really curious to know what has you like, why run for the president of NASW California? And I say this like, I'm coming from an honest place, and I feel like a lot of social workers might agree. NASW just does not have a very good reputation. Like, I did a little search today just for fun on Facebook. I just searched in the NASW opinion, and let me see if I can pull it up. If it, dang it got away. Let me see,
Yes.
NASW. But it was not good. It was
Right, right, right.
not good.
I know it's not.
Okay.
I
And
know
so
it's not.
basically just a lot of distrust, a lot of
Mhm.
ethical questions around how the organization is run. So honestly, when I was surprised when I heard that you were running for the president of California, because I'm like, I know we have our drama too. So like, why? Why, Dr. Wright? Tell me.
And I get it. But the thing is I'm running because I love this profession. I love social work. And anyone that gives me a moment like you're giving me, I will continue to express the love that I have for this profession and how I am deeply concerned about where we are at as a profession, where and what the feelings are of social workers, the desire and the need and the responsibility for them to be heard. I hear the frustration. I'm living degree or I am practicing this, so I get it, right? I hear the burnout and I've lived it. I experience it. I teach on it. I hear the disappointment. I says I'm not surprised that there's a Facebook group. I am assured that there's a group on every social media platform where they are expressing this, and rightfully so. The frustration. I hear the people. They're questioning whether their membership is even worth it, whether their voices matter, and whether leadership actually understands their realities as practicing social workers. And I know that the feelings that they're having, right? And I know these feelings, and it's because I'm not an outsider. I am a part of it, right? I am also a paid member. Okay, I am someone who has those same concerns and frustrations, right? I'm a social worker who has lived in this profession, as you mentioned, micro, meso, macro levels for over 15 years. I've been studying the NASW Code of Ethics since 2011, right? So when I think about why, it's because I care and I'm frustrated too. I'm running because I believe NASW California can be more transparent and more accountable, that they can be more inclusive and they can be more connected to their members. I'm already a board member. I'm currently the assistant regional director for a region in California, right? So I'm on the board. And as a board member and a paid member, I have internal understandings of the dynamics and the frustrations. Right? I understand the pressures that we're experiencing from nationals. I understand the political realities. And I'm running because I understand the urgency of this moment, of what's happening right now. And people may also wonder, why are you running for this position? You already have stature, right? You already have, positionality because I'm doing what I want to do, right? But it's not about that. This is not about me gaining a status. This is about stewardship. This is about me following the code of ethics. This is about me advocating and pulling forward my concerns in the best ways that I know how as a macro social worker to advocate, to create opportunities and to lead, to listen and to respond. I believe that that's what's most important. And what I see is that, and what I know is that the president's role is to do just that, to amplify members' voices, right? Help restore the trust, strengthen accountability, and create a chapter, right? A chapter culture where social workers, they feel seen, validated, and respected, because I know with California being the largest chapter, how we operate can trickle out to the other states as well. We're the leaders. And so again, I'm running not for this status, if you will, but as a social worker and colleague and peer who is also a paid member, who has also questioned my membership, who is also frustrated. And so the vote is for us to continue to ensure that we are being led by a social worker, that a social worker is in this position, and that the social worker in this position is someone who has practiced and lived the life of a social worker, not just as a professional, but as a student. as an intern, and as an associate. Those levels I experience and I understand. And so I hear you and I feel it.
I love that. I love the passion. I love it. I love it all. I'm here for it. Hey, it's Catherine here. I hope you are enjoying this episode. We're going to take a quick break to listen to these ads from our sponsors. You know, a lot of social workers think their employer's insurance has them covered. But here's the thing, that policy is really there to protect the organization, not you. That's why I always recommend having your own coverage with a trusted organization such as HPSO. Their professional liability insurance is designed for social workers and it follows you wherever you work. It's peace of mind you just can't put a price on. Check them out at hpso.com/swrise. Hey, social workers, are you looking for clinical supervision or hoping to offer it? Check out Rise Directory. It's the national hub connecting associate social workers with licensed clinical supervisors, making it super easy to find your right match in your state. Head over to risedirectory.com and see how it can help you grow in your career. You mentioned how you've worked all over the state of California. You worked, you've lived, you've gone to school. And I love that these experiences were not very long ago. I mean, we just talked about how you just became a doctor, and so you've been in school, you understand the experience. I hear that you are sharing the same frustration. So you're not in this delusional world of everything is great. What do you see as the top three issues that social workers are facing right now? Because you mentioned that we're at, really important times right now. So, what is it? What are the issues going on right now?
Yeah. So definitely I want to share my top three. But what I'm alluding to is that Nationals has made a shift in chapter operations. And so there's a lot of questions from members about what this means. And there's a lot of information on social media from other states and chapters of how it's impacting them,
Mm,
right? So there's a lot of fear and confusion around that. Our state, our chapter has had a lot of transition as well with staff, with leadership. And so those inconsistencies and transitions ultimately cause fear and confusion, especially when they're not being communicated as to what's going on. Right? There's things that are happening in policy and communication that should be shared. And I believe that the decisions that NASW are making are not just affecting paid members, they're impacting all social workers. And that needs to be acknowledged on a deeper level. And I believe that that would be a role and a responsibility of me. And that's how I have felt forever. And now I have the opportunity to share that with more people outside of my niche. When I think about the state of California, and yes, I'm born in high school in Eureka, Humboldt County. I moved to Oakland in 2008, 3 days after I graduated high school at the age of 17. I moved to San Diego. I was the student body elected vice president of San Diego City College, where I declared my major of social work. My associate's degree is in social work. I transferred to San Diego State University, where I was a student leader there for the College of Health and got my BSW. Went to Cal State East Bay in Hayward, back in the Bay Area. I lived in Fairfield, and then I moved back to Oakland, and I graduated from Cal State East Bay with my master's. So I've been across the state, not just theoretically through visiting. I've lived and had addresses and resources and connections. I understand what social work looks like in those different regions. And what I've seen is one of the issues is burnout and workforce sustainability, as well as retention, right? And when you think about that, why is that the case? Social workers, we're exhausted. Our caseloads are high. As someone who was a laborist and on an elected bargaining member for labor to negotiate our contract for social workers and child welfare workers, that was the issue I brought forward. And I was hit with a roadblock and a wall to discuss the caseloads of social workers, child welfare workers. I've already been working towards this. This is not a new phenomenon for me as a leader to try to address. But I know it's a statewide issue, not just one county.
Right.
Our systems, they're strained, right? There's expectations that keep increasing. We have top-down responsibilities with no explanation as to why and no understanding of how it's going to impact, right? The support, the compensation, sometimes there's just not a match, right? And so social workers, we love the profession, but we question whether it's sustainable long-term. So as president, one of the focuses I'll have is workforce sustainability, not just recruitment, right? Stronger advocacy for fair compensation, support for safe caseload standards, mental health and wellness protections, and elevating self-care as an ethical responsibility, not a luxury. We have already added it to our code of ethics, but we need to not just have it as a performative section in the code of ethics, but something that is actually in play every day. The second thing I want to do, professional identity, respect, and recognition. Social workers are everywhere, right? We are not just one thing. We are in schools, hospitals, behavioral health, child welfare, juvenile justice systems, nonprofits, government, private practice. Yet, when we think about that, our profession identifies, right? And the identities that we have are sometimes misunderstood, minimized, or erased. So the concerns, title confusion. What does a social worker do? Misrepresentation of our roles. We're a clinician. Threats to our professional degree. Right now, the United States Department of Education is threatening our professional degree and the exclusion from leadership and policy conversations. Because in those rooms. Identity, strengthen title protection efforts. And those efforts have been going on for years, decades, but we have not been able to overcome because there are so many different associations and advocacy groups that fight against us. They fight against our title protection. So I want to advocate at the state and national levels to ensure social workers are recognized as a highly trained profession that we know that we are. And I know you asked for 3. So the third one I want to offer up is trust, transparency, and accountability in professional leadership. We deserve that. And we deserve that across the state, right? We deserve this experience where social workers are able to understand and have answers to the questions they've been asking. They've been asking, who is representing us? Who is advocating for us? And who is accountable to us? Right? Myself included, we're desiring clear communication, transparent decision-making, meaningful opportunities for member engagement with the leadership. Leadership that understands and listens and has a desire to connect with its members and social workers across the state. Not only that, but is responsive. So as president, the priority that I'll have is a membership that's focused, the leadership that is focused on membership engagement. My colleagues, my peers are what's important to me, right? So something that I've been consistently doing even before I was running for this position is listening sessions, right? Continuing to host those. Increase transparency in board communication. What is going on with the board? What decisions are being made, and what are ways that social workers can get involved? Creating feedback loops. I believe feedback should be on a loop with opportunities to engage so that we can see and give opportunities for other voices to show up. And then hold leadership accountable to the profession. So those are things that I have really thought about and considered. Those are things that I believe are tangible, and those are things that I believe are the responsibility of the president at minimum.
Yes, absolutely. Got me all fired up. I'm ready to like grab my sign and go out there and pick it like social workers.
Social workers first and always.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Yes, I'm so excited for you. So excited. So we talked about the problems, but but I want to know, what are you most excited for looking towards the future of social work? Because there are a lot of changes. I mean, specifically with AI, there's a mental health crisis going on. There's a huge, huge need for social workers and mental health professionals. There's social workers who are starting their own business. Entrepreneurship is a brand new rising field of social work. So, tell me more about what you're excited for looking forward.
hmm Absolutely. I'm really excited that you brought that up. Uh, I went to an event the other night, and it was a branding awareness event. And I was just thinking, like, how awesome is it that we can have these experiences? But then I thought about it. These experiences are not readily available to social workers. We would have to seek out, right? Like, go find those experiences in other arenas, other areas. And it's not pronounced in the profession of social work. They don't prepare us to be entrepreneurs like you and I are, to have a private practice like you do, to be able to work in these areas on our own. Yeah, some students, they may say the professor talked about an LCSW or told them to do the application, but how often do they say, here's how you start a private practice? Here's how you start a group practice. Here's how you do credentialing. Here's the billing numbers. Not often. How many times do they say, there's other, and I know if they go to your page or they follow you, they definitely get that information, right? You have like the 100 different things that social workers can do. So you're offering that to us, but that's not across the board. I know you came in and, spoke to my students as well, which was really cool and very impactful, but that's you doing it, right? That's not the profession creating those spaces on a consistent basis. That's you taking it upon yourself to realize these information. And I think that's great. And we need to elevate that. We should find, and that's what I'm excited about, is that we should find ways to help social workers know that they can do more than just what the program set them up to do, which is usually child welfare or community mental health. And why? Because that's where the funding is and that's where we need people. And I understand that, but we can go work there like I did for 7 years and then go do something else too. And I think that's the issue, is that sometimes social workers, we get so fixated, or the systematic, whatever's given to us is that if we're not doing a role that says social work, we're no longer a social worker. And if you're a social worker by degree, you're always a social worker. So if you go work in computer science, or you go work for Google as a program manager, or you go help build systems around AI, that's still social work, right? I was talking to some of our people who really focus on technology, and I was just thinking, social workers need to be a part of the development of technology. We need to be a part of the development of the AI tools that we then use for our clients. If the people developing the AI tools that we use for our clients do not have social workers at the table, then we are missing out on they are missing out on a huge opportunity to get a different perspective on how this tool will be used, and if this tool is going to be used to fidelity, if there's adaptations that we can have based upon culture and region. So there's just so much going on right now that we need a social worker to be in these positions. And I'm not saying I have to do it all. I'm not going to be able to do it all. But my hope is that through this position, where there's opportunities for more social workers to be involved across the state. It's been really frustrating to see that, and of course, because of frustration and distrust, but that where are we, like, there's so many qualified social workers across the state of California who can be involved and be a part of leadership. Why are we not reaching out to them? Why are we not tapping them and saying, hey, I see that you're doing this. Can you lead this? Can you be a part of this? And I know sometimes, and probably most of the time, they're hyper fixated on membership, and they send their emails only to members, but those members know other social workers. And there's so many of us across the state who are more than qualified to help lead these initiatives. And that's what we need to do, is outsource and outreach and do that healthy community organizing, which is something that I've been taught to do.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And you're right. I'm on the email list for NASW California. I'm not an active member, but you're right. If I was invited to other events that NASW was doing, I'd say like, oh, wow, I could do that. And it would incentivize me to to actually join, and I'd be able to see, oh, they actually are doing stuff. Because from the outside, I don't see anything, and I'm thinking like, why would I pay this hundreds of dollars for membership if like they're not doing anything? So yeah, so I like that point. I definitely vote for that. Reaching out to the non-members as well. And I love how everything that you talked about relates to each other, right? You started with the burnout, the retention. That relates to also our professional identity and the respect as a profession, because if we are tired and burnt out and that's our identity, no one's going to be respecting us because we're some burnt out, cranky social workers who hate our jobs, and they're not going to then give us the opportunity or the title protection. Why would we only want these cranky, burnt out social workers doing this job? So it all makes sense. It all ties together. I'm here for it. I'm so excited for you, Dr. Wright.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And that's really it. I've I've been really emotionally taken back and humbled by the response and support of my colleagues in a way that I don't know. I just wasn't really expecting, to be honest. Like, not that I don't think y'all support me and like we're not here rooting each other on, but to know that there are people who are not members that are like excited. There are people I have someone who has never been a member. They've worked in the medical social work realm for 30 years. They're already retired. They were never a member. And they're like, I need to join now. I need to join now. Let me give this a shot. That I think is really blowing my mind. And that is a goal that I have, is to help people understand that they do have a voice, that they do have a right, and that their vote does matter. And that when they take this vote, that they know it's not a vote for me, that it's a vote for us, for our profession, for the dignity, for the desire, for the frustration that I hold too. I hold this frustration too. I'm telling you. That's why I'm like, let me go in and let me figure out what's going on in a way where I can actually provide support. And I agree with you, Catherine. If we are not tapping on our well-qualified social professionals such as yourself, and we're not inviting you in to see what's going on and giving you the spectrum of opportunity for leadership, how will you ever know that that is even available? We have to do that work to do the outreach, because otherwise you're right. Because that was me for a long time. When I was an undergrad, I was like, well, I know NASW is there. I go to lobby days. I'm here, I'm a member, but I just didn't feel like leadership was for me back then, right? That was, 14 years ago. And so for me, it's like, okay, how can I take that experience that I had and kind of make the shift for others to let them know? And so as president, letting people know, hey, did you know this calendar? Do you know that we're having a board meeting? Like, here's public comment, or here's how you submit stuff, or even giving, even myself, like searching around on the website. I even have been taken back and a little excited about some of the perks of being a member that I didn't realize myself before. And so helping people understand that, because I do believe that when it's a paid membership organization, that members have a right to decide if they want this to be a line item in their budget. If they want to take the cost of spending hundreds of dollars to pay a membership to an organization, they have the decision to make that. And we have the responsibility to help them see the value in making that decision. And that would be the responsibility of the president. And that's one of the reasons I'm running as well, because I believe paid members and those who are interested in becoming paid members deserve to know why. We would love to have their membership.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So voting for this position, it goes March 2nd to
It's March 1st, Sunday, March 1st.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. March 1st to March 28th, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, how do we vote?
And again, it's taking me back, Catherine. Someone, a colleague I went to grad school with, reached out to me. They're like, I've never voted before, so I don't know how to do it. Can you create a video on how to vote? So if you go to my Instagram, you will see a video of how to do the voting process. For all current paid members, you will receive an email in your inbox on March 1st, and there will be a link to click to vote. If you are not a current member and you desire to vote, you can go to the membership tab and either renew or join. And if you're interested in how to do any of those things, I'll have videos on how to do it. And if you're not a member and you don't desire to be a member now, that is okay. I still want to hear from you and I still hope to connect with you. But the NASW California chapter will send out an email with a link to vote. And then you'll be able to scroll and see all the candidates and see everyone that's available to vote for. The only contested position is the president-elect one. And then for those that are not sure, there's a contact email on their website that you can contact for support. And sometimes the email does go to spam, so check your spam folder. And if you feel like you should have gotten the email and you didn't and you need support, just reach out to me. I will be available to help you.
Okay, amazing. And her Instagram link and handle is in the show notes, so make sure to check that out. Thank you so much, Dr. Wright. Was there anything that you wanted to add? Did we forget to mention anything?
For me, it's just remembering that this is a social work focused association. And we have the opportunity to be at the table with the Board of Behavioral Sciences, with the ABS for our clinic exam. We have the opportunity to be at CSWE for accreditation. We need a social worker in this position who understands what it's like to not only practice social work, but have a social work degree and to be able to understand the experiences of social workers. And I believe I am the candidate to do that. And I would be honored to have a vote for us as social workers to continue to lead this organization in a new direction. And this year, we have the opportunity to do that. Thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate you. And I appreciate all of my colleagues out there across the state and the nation for listening in today.
Thank you so much. And if you enjoyed this episode or you know somebody who needs to hear what Dr. Wright is saying, open up your podcast app, go ahead and share it to them. Go ahead, send them a text message, whatever you need to do. We're not about gatekeeping information around here. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast because there's going to be some amazing episodes coming out later this year too. So with that said, thank you so much, Dr. Wright.